Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff Jones. I'm the Director of Sports and Recreation for Blaze Sports America. Welcome to today's webinar, How to Build Disability Sports and Physical Activity Programs in Your Community. This webinar is made possible with the generous support of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Our speakers today: Dan Humphreys, who's the Director of Blaze Tech, which stands for Training, Education, and Certification. Mike Boone, who's the Director of the Adapted Sports Iowa. And again, my name is Jeff Jones. I'm Director of Sports and Community Programs for Blaze Sports America. Our objectives today is that we hope by the end of the webinar that you will have a better understanding of the technical assistance resources available to you. Also that you have an understanding of the process involved in starting or expanding a local program, that you understand the benefits of having staff complete this Certified Disability Sport Specialist Certification Program, and how Blaze Sports can assist you in your local program development. We hope to achieve those objectives by doing a variety of things. We're going to introduce you to a variety of resources that are available to local communities. We're going to provide a roadmap in terms of how to start a local program or expand a program using the Blaze Sports Active for Life Toolkit and Resource Guide. We're also going to introduce you to some instructional manuals and videos. We're going to introduce you to a set of activity cards, which again, if you submit the survey, you'll get a full copy of. And then we're going to discuss professional development, education, and training opportunities for you and your staff. What we have done on our website, we have spent a lot of time revamping our website. And we have had so many requests for information, and we're disseminating so much information, we decided that the best thing to do to meet the needs of our partners and communities were to put everything on our website. So basically what we're going to do is go through that, and the essence of that will be in the section called Resources. And under Resources we have 6 different categories, and those categories include advocacy, a section specifically for parents and caregivers, a section on policy, which we'll go into more detail in a little bit, an entire section on professional development, which Dan Humphreys will discuss in a little bit. And our main topic today is starting a program, the use of Blaze Sports Activity for Life Guide, and we'll discuss that. We also wanted to point out that we have a section on statistics and research. Many times people are asked, contact us for information. They're writing a grant or writing a program proposal, and they want to beef it up with some real hard data. We've provided some links to some updated information related to statistics and research data on physical activity, recent disability prevalence data, that types of things. All available on the website at a touch of a button. And then final section on the resources is technical assistance, and we'll, by the end of this webinar, we hope that you have a clear understanding of the types of technical assistance that we have available through our offices, both here in Atlanta and our Washington, D.C. office. But to get back to the main gist of the webinar is starting a program or expanding a program. We understand that there's a number of people that have interest in starting new programs in the community, are thinking about starting new programs, don't quite have the resources to do it or how to go about it. We also understand that there's a number of you on this webinar today that have existing programs, have well-established programs that have been around for a long time. Our challenge is to meet the need of that spectrum. The brand new, we want to have a program, to the 20-year well-established program in the community that serves a lot of people with disabilities. We hope that the entire audience will be able to get information from our presentation that will be useful either, again, to develop new programs or to expand existing programs or to refine a program that you're already doing. And again, that is our goal today. In order to do that, we have developed what's called Active for Life. And it's basically a guide to disability sports and recreation. We think it's pretty comprehensive. Obviously, the essence of starting new programs is very broad. There's a lot to consider. We think that we have tackled the essence of what is needed to consider when starting a program, and it'll point people in the right direction. Does it answer all the questions you're going to have? Probably not. But we think it sets people in the right direction and gives you direction in terms of new programs or expanding existing programs. And basically that manual has 9 chapters. We're going to just briefly discuss what's in them. Chapter 1 is basically an overview of Blaze Sports. For many of you know, Blaze Sports is a legacy program of the '96 Paralympic Games. We are 15 years into since the Paralympic Games. Blaze Sports is not the same organization it was even 10 years ago. We have revamped our organization. We have a number of new initiatives and programs. We are very proud to be one of the communities putting prevention to work and working with the Department of Health and Human Services on the prevention of obesity with kids with disabilities. It's a very active program. We're very involved in working with a number of great communities. Some of you are on our webinar today, and it's a very exciting time for us. We also are doing, again, looking into the future and doing a lot of different things in terms of communication, and we have just revitalized our blog, which is a daily communication on the topics of disability sports and recreation across not only the United States but across the world. And we hope that you would visit that site on a daily basis and comment on that. We also have expanded our efforts across the world. We have a number of programs in a number of different countries, very exciting programs. We will look in the future to partner with some programs across the country to help us as we provide services to a variety of countries in a variety of different programs across the world. Chapter 2 really goes into an introduction of what physical activity and physical fitness is, and goes through a variety of things. The essence of Chapter 2 is what's called long-term athlete development, and the essence of that is basically in the United States the inactivity and the obesity situation is at an epidemic level, and it is worse for kids with disability or people with disability. So we are championing the effort to get the word out in terms of keeping people involved in physical activity and sports and recreation. In terms of long-term athlete development, it's really based on a series of developmental stages, and that's what's really important, especially when you're dealing with children with disabilities or young adults with disabilities. There are certain stages that combine coaching, activity, and competition, and it all flows together based on the age of the participant. The key part of it is to be not only develop athletes. We all want to be in a situation where we develop athletes, develop good basketball teams, or develop good Paralympians. But in essence, our goal should be to get people active for their entire life. So that is the end stage of the continuum in terms of being active for life, and that is the important aspect that we're trying to stress, is that everything we do is trying to get people with disabilities to have a healthy and active lifestyle and to maintain that for a long time. This program, the long-term athlete development program, is really championed by the Canadians. We reference that in the manual, and they have a great website. All this material is up there. You can see, again, the different stages, the ages that go with it. It is important for people to understand this. The manual provides a good opportunity to orientate volunteers, new staff, even board of directors in terms of the core fundamentals of your program. And there's also a number of key factors related to long-term athlete development that are specific to people with disabilities, and they are here really quickly, the 10-year rule suggests that it takes about 10,000 hours and 10 years of development to develop an elite athlete. The fundamentals is that really kids with disabilities have to have sports skills, have to acquire sports skills, and a lot of times overprotective parents or inadequate physical education or even poor coaching hampers the ability for kids to learn those sports skills. Specialization is the fact that we want kids to be introduced to a variety of activities, not to specialize in any particular sport at a young age. That at a young age they should be doing as many different sports as possible. Trainability is determining what ages are best for training, especially with athletes with disabilities, and certain disabilities affect issues of puberty and things like that affect training, so it talks about that. Physical, mental, cognitive, and emotional development, again, are different based on different disabilities, and it does affect in terms of development of self-confidence and training, so there's a section on that. Periodization is basically determining training schedules and the rest and recovery periods in training. Calendar, planning for competition is a big thing with athletes with disabilities because you don't want to overtrain and undercompete, and the lack of competitions in the United States and lack of opportunity for competition is a thing that we all struggle with. So it's juggling training and competition. System alignment and integration is basically working with the national governing bodies or community sports partners to include people with disabilities with athletes without disabilities in community-based programs. Many of you do that already. We have an opportunity here in Georgia where our swimmers compete on able-bodied swim clubs and train with them, and then we meet on Saturdays to look at their stroke technique and things like that. The role certain NGBs are playing, like U.S. Hockey and U.S. Tennis Association, in terms of developing and promoting disability sport across the country, is integral to our developing of the sport in the United States. And finally, continuous improvement is that basically that disability sports is a very, very young movement, and in fact, there's new technology, new coaching strategies, new equipment happening all the time, and it's a learning process, and if you don't want to keep up with the current trends, then you're not going to be doing your program any justice. Chapter 3 outlines the things. Basically, it's again a roadmap to start local programs. It suggests a variety of things, including a resource assessment and budgets and how to recruit participants. The big thing it suggests is the difference between a needs assessment and a resource assessment. A needs assessment is when you look at your community and try to determine how many people with disabilities are targeted, what's the interest in the community, how will participants recruited, or do you have access to schools or rehab centers, sports and rec programs, are you going to be doing newspapers and this, that, in terms of promoting, are you going to get into Facebook and Twitter? What is the age range? There's a number of programs that only serve kids. There's a number of programs that only serve adults, and obviously a number of programs that do both. And also in terms of skill level, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to have a recreational program? Are you looking to do a novice program? Or do you really want to get into elite sport and have a very competitive program? Things that have to be considered before you put your template in and design your program. Other things to consider in terms of, again, what type of disabilities are most common in your community, what sports people are interested in, not only in terms of the participants, but also in terms of staff. You don't want to offer a swim program if you don't have anyone that has a swimming background. We suggest that you're looking to existing programs. What other things are happening in your community or near your community? The one thing you don't want to be is redundant and offer programs that are already offering, because that doesn't do anybody any good. You have to consider what the purpose of your program is, and then develop some good, solid goals and objectives. And again, the manual has these issues spelled out and gives background for each of those. In terms of resource assessment, we break it down into 4 general categories: facilities, staff expertise, schedules, and equipment. Obviously, all 4 of these play a very important part in developing a new program or expanding a program or adding new programs to an existing program. And it has to be considered individually, but also how they interact with each other and to produce a viable program. We have had, as I'll probably mention more than once, each of these topics in themselves is enough to have a webinar. In fact, recruiting participants was a main topic of a past webinar. This webinar is posted on our website, recorded, so you can see it, go back 24/7 and look at it just like it was almost live, and get the resources from that as well. And while we're on the topic of new programs, we'd like to introduce our second speaker today. Again, I introduced him earlier, Mike Boone, who's the Director of Adaptive Sports Iowa. Mike, we've asked Mike to join us today because he is going to share some examples with you in terms of how he actually used the toolkit to help develop this exciting new program in Iowa. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Jeff, and hi, everyone. As you said, my name is Mike Boone. I'm the Director of Adaptive Sports Iowa. When I was first approached regarding the participation in this presentation, of course I jumped at the chance. I can tell you with full confidence that Adaptive Sports Iowa would not exist in its current form if I didn't attend the Blaze Sports Conference back in February 2010 or had access to their technical assistance or the Active for Life toolkit that they've been going over today. I'm going to keep it real brief here, but I wanted to go through just a quick timeline of what, basically how Adaptive Sports Iowa came to be, and then some of the resources I've utilized along the process. Overall, it's been a pretty quick process. My wife and I originally came up with the concept of Adaptive Sports Iowa in November of 2009, and really fully committed to creating it as a viable program within Iowa in December of 2009. And at that point, we really started researching it, and that's when we came across the Blaze Sports Conference. Her and I drove down there in 2010, attended the conference, and got a lot of information, and that's when we really started creating the initial business plan and really started marketing and focusing a lot of our time on that. From March to June of 2010, we continuously tweaked the business plan. We networked the concept and just continued to build relationships and build fans with local businesses and leaders. In June of 2010, we made our first contact, or I made my first contact with the Iowa Sports Foundation. And up to this point, I had been originally trying to create the program as its own independent nonprofit. But once I came in contact with the Iowa Sports Foundation, which is an organization in Iowa that's been around for about 25 years, and they run a state games and a couple of health initiatives around the state. In July, I started really working closely with the ISF. And in August of 2010, we received our first large private donation to really get the organization off the ground. I started working full-time as the director in 2010, and then we officially kicked off Adaptive Sports Iowa to the media and to the state in March of 2011. From March until now, obviously our big goal has been to continue to raise funds, establish more program, and just continue the marketing and the public perception of what's going on with us and who we are and what our goal is. And kind of what Jeff was mentioning before, the way we've been able to use the resources and programs or the resources and toolkit up to this point is to set pretty much set us in the right direction. And kind of what I'll go through here in a little bit is the plan is a good guide, it's a good overview, but obviously stuff like this takes a lot of work as well, and based upon what your environment or where you're located, obviously that's going to play into how you utilize the toolkit. But going into more specifics, when I wrote the business plan, this is always a good idea to do whenever you're starting an organization for obvious reasons, but you have a lot of ideas. It's good to get them down on paper and starting to move forward. And whenever I had questions, whenever I had issues with anything, I always made sure I went back to the Blaze Sports site. I always made sure I contacted Jeff. I don't know if he wants me to plug him or not, but But plug Jeff and just kind of bounce ideas off him how I can keep this moving forward. Now, keep in mind that whenever you write a business plan, it's not a rule book set in stone. It's definitely a fluid document. As I mentioned before, I started this organization as creating my own nonprofit, you know, and really what it turned into was a program of a larger organization. But either way, the mission is still the same. I'm still able to serve the groups I want to, and through this aspect, I'm able to do it more efficiently. More specifics of the business plan content, and obviously this is highlighted in Chapter 3, like Jeff was just talking about. The primary marketing strategy for the demographics we're shooting for, it's not so easy just to go out and just try to find people. You really need to really engage the vested interest groups. And get the media involved, and that's pretty much what we've been able to do, and that's also highlighted in the toolkit here about good strategies about contacting that local media, but really creating the media as more of a fan of what you're trying to do, and of course also word of mouth. For the fundraising development, we've been contacting businesses and sponsorships. Primarily, we're going to be going for grants here moving into the future, but moving up to this point, we've been pretty much completely reliant upon sponsorships of businesses, private donations. And that goes into what I was doing before leading up to creating the program in the beginning, is going out and really creating what are called raving fans, for those of you who have read that book in the past. You know, get those people on board and passionate about what you're trying to do. And once you're able to do that, it's not just you doing it, but everyone else out there is sharing what the concept of the overall program. And finally, moving on to the overall program content. Jeff mentioned this before, but you know, you need to have a good idea of obviously what you're trying to move into. Where'd my screen go here? There it is. It's a good idea to make sure you know what the needs of the state are, what the needs of your environment are, what the interests are. Because if you create, let's say, a wheelchair basketball program, but all of a sudden you realize that everyone just wants to play bocce, obviously you're going to have a problem. So really utilizing that programming content, and then after you've figured out what exactly you want to do, you then can move forward with the more sport-specific skills training, which is also found within the toolkit here. There's a number of DVDs and videos. There's some CD-ROMs with documents on there, going more into the specifics of how to training, the warm-ups, the content, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much a short, brief history of what happened here at Adaptive Sports Iowa.
Well, thank you, Mike. That was we appreciate you being with us today. Chapter 4 goes into a summary of sports and recreation, and for a lot of people in the field, this is really basic stuff. Well, we included it because, again, we're looking at serving a broad spectrum of people, and some folks starting programs may not be familiar with all the sports and recreation activities. May not be familiar with all the different sports and recreation activities that are out there. We go over all the Paralympic sports. We also include a number of recreation sports as well. General information, you see it's a couple of paragraphs on each sports, and list of contact information. Great section for new staff, for volunteers, again, for board members who may not have a full grasp of the scope of disability sport in terms of what's available. Also, it's not a bad section for parents who are thinking about getting their children involved and just really don't understand the number of activities that are available for people with disabilities. And Chapter 5 is on volunteer management, and we're going to have Dan Humphreys jump in and take it over.
All right, thanks, Jeff. If you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. All right. The section on volunteer management is going to provide you with information on how to recruit, select, and train volunteers that will help make your programs the best they can be. But before you can begin to recruit, you need to identify the roles that you need to fill in order to successfully implement your programs. Once you've determined what your needs are, you need to put them down in writing in the form of a job description. Just the act of creating the job description will force you to think through the process of implementing your programs and the characteristics, qualifications, and experience that you need in your volunteers and coaches that will lead to program success. Once you've completed your needs assessment, identified the roles, and created your job descriptions, you need to start interviewing people. When first starting a program, you may want to interview as many people as possible, even if they don't quite fit the job description. By making these extra connections, you never know who you may meet and what you may find in the right person that you need to have in your organization because of their experience, their network, or enthusiasm for your cause. Sometimes when you find that person, you need to create a position that will fit their unique skills. Once you interview, make sure you verify. Just because something is on a resume or was said to be true by an applicant doesn't make it so. Call the references and be critical of what they say and what they don't say. Use this vetting process to ensure that you bring high-quality people on board from the get-go. And once you have chosen to hire an employee or a volunteer, make sure you complete a background check. Make sure that you use a reputable service that investigates all 50 states for criminal activity. And if you're interested in resources for background checks, you can email us and we can provide you with some services that are used by some of the top national nonprofit organizations. Now that you have staff to deliver your programs, you need to get them acclimated to your organization. And this can be done through a formal or informal orientation process. In either case, you should provide an overview of the organization, discuss the mission and vision statements, the population you serve, and the outcomes that you're hoping to achieve. The orientation should also include information on HIPAA and confidentiality of the participants. This is especially important in this age of social media where many people are accustomed to generating real-time updates of what they're doing with pictures included. Make sure your staff and volunteers understand what is and is not acceptable and appropriate. And all volunteers should have an understanding of risk management, and you should have a formal process for reporting incidents and dealing with emergencies. Everyone in charge of delivering a program should know these policies and procedures first and foremost to reduce the likelihood of an accident occurring, and secondly, to deal with any situations in a timely and effective manner. In addition to orientation, you should consider offering a formal training program for your staff and volunteers. You may want to consider requiring certain training as well. By offering or requiring additional training, you're taking the extra step to ensure that your programs are being delivered by skilled and knowledgeable staff. One such training program you may want to consider is the Certified Disability Sports Specialist program offered by Blaze Sports through the Blaze Sports Institute of Applied Science. As recently as 2 years ago, the disability sport community lacked a formal process or organization that evaluated the competencies, experience, and training of professionals in the field. This void was glaring and had significant consequences across a spectrum of competition from recreational participation to elite-level sport. In the absence of such a system, there was no way to ensure that service providers possessed the knowledge and the ability to deliver safe programming to the standards of best practice. Recognizing the necessity of such a system, Blaze Sports stepped in to remedy this problem. And in 2009, we founded the Blaze Sports Institute of Applied Science, BIAS, which functions as both a curriculum and an independent process of review for evaluation and credentialing of volunteers, coaches, and professionals engaged in all levels of disability sport programming. To ensure that BIAS incorporates the latest in theoretical and practical knowledge, the process is overseen by a panel of experts from related fields and disciplines including therapeutic recreation, sports science, sports medicine, adaptive physical education, rehabilitation science, and Paralympic sport. BIAS is designed to benefit people at all levels of engagement in disability sport. Through their participation in the Institute, volunteers, coaches, and professionals can all demonstrate to employers and organizations that they are leaders in disability sport. The credential signifies the ability to provide safe and effective programming and knowledge of the latest research in the field. Moreover, the certification enhances existing credentials such as CTRS, CPRP, PTs and OTs, and others by demonstrating specialized knowledge in disability sport. Through BIAS, professionals can credential themselves as one of 4 levels of Certified Disability Sports Specialist, or CDSS. These levels of accreditation are based on educational background, professional and work experience, continuing education, and if need be, completion of the BIAS CDSS curriculum and successful completion of exams. The Blaze Sports staff works closely with candidates to determine which level of certification is appropriate for their individual situations. And it's not a progressive process where you have to go from 1 through 4. You may come in at level 2 depending on your background and experience. Level 1 of the certification, the entry level, focuses on developing and certifying competencies in such areas as risk management, injury prevention, wheelchair maintenance and repair, person's first language in the ADA, and wheelchair transfers. Upon completion of the CDSS Level 1 certification, the individual will possess the skills necessary to deliver safe, appropriate, and effective programming to the standards of best practice. Level 2 builds on those fundamental skills developed in Level 1 and cultivates the abilities necessary to offer direct programming at the highest standard possible. Course topics in Level 2 include planning and goal setting, Paralympic sports structure and classification, mental skills training, wheelchair sizing and fitting, and the role of technology in disability sport. With the CDSS Level 2 certification, the candidate will have the knowledge and ability to implement disability sport programming that exceeds the basic provisions of service. At Level 3, the certification is designed to help hone the skills of those who are looking to become leaders in disability sport on a regional and national level. The Level 3 curriculum will further educate candidates on current issues in disability sports, event management, sports administration, gender issues, and advanced topics in mental skills training and disability sport technology. After attaining Level 3, professionals will have a set of tools that will empower them to effect change not only in their local program, but also on a national scale as leaders in the disability sport movement. If someone pursues the CDSS Level 4, the highest level of certification, the candidate will study subjects necessary for leadership on the international level. Level 4 topics include current issues in Paralympic movement, sport for peace and diplomacy, international exchange programs, and disability sport development in third world countries. Upon completion of the Level 4 program, the individual is certified as possessing the skills and knowledge necessary to serve as a global leader in the Paralympic movement. Well, now what does all that mean? Well, as a result of earning a CDSS credential, the individual will have more confidence in delivering programming and be a proactive, forward-thinking problem solver. The individual will be better able to anticipate challenges and plan around them. Even those individuals who already hold a professional certification benefit from obtaining a CDSS, in that the CDSS enhances their current credentials by developing specialized knowledge in disability sport. While many professionals learn about disability and disability sport through their formal education and some hands-on experiences, the CDSS credential ensures that those professionals have not only extensive hands-on experiences, but the knowledge of how disability relates to sport and vice versa. A professional with the CDSS is sure to be able to not only be a top resource for people looking for information on disability sport, but also deliver disability sport programming. Organizations that utilize volunteers, coaches, and employees are certain to have peace of mind that their programs will be delivered in a safe and effective manner and to the standards of best practice. Furthermore, the organization can take pride in that their staff are leaders in the field and will oftentimes be on the cutting edge of disability sport. And when you look at the changes that can be made by individuals and organizations that make the commitment to a higher degree of professionalism in disability sport through this certification process, what you will see is a step forward in the disability sport movement. And that's the certification program in a nutshell, and you can certainly find out more information on that on the website. And we will have more information and a certification course at our conference in September. Jeff?
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
And Chapter 6 talks about marketing and public relations, and there's, again, like all the other chapters, that briefly touches on 5 or 6 different topics. Again, marketing has been a separate topic that we've done a webinar on in the past. It is posted on our website. Some really good information available to you 24/7 to go over that. Also, in terms of resource development, again, the roadmap is outlined in Chapter 7 in terms of creating a local fundraising plan, targeting potential supporters, concept of developing special events and activities, and marketing support materials. Again, research development is probably the #1 thing that programs have asked about in different surveys, not only our surveys, but U.S. Paralympic surveys in terms of clubs, in terms of their need. We have done 2 webinars, Grant Writing 101, Key Elements of Success, 2 years ago. And last year we had a second follow-up because of the urgency and the importance of resource development to our clubs. And both of those webinars are available on site for people to look at and get information from. One of the things, the technical assistance that we provide here at Blaze Sports is, again, pick up the phone, shoot us an email if you have an idea, if you're trying to think through a grant opportunity, think through a special event. We're glad to provide some assistance with that and share our ideas with you. Our staff has been involved with a variety of things over the years in different projects. We've written many different grants, and we're glad to provide technical assistance when it comes to that. Chapter 8, in terms of disability awareness, again, another great chapter in terms of general information, in terms of information on specific disabilities, things to remember, common courtesies, that kind of thing. It really revolves around what we call people first terminology. Again, for those of us that have been in the field for quite a while, this is a no-brainer. But for the new volunteer, even the board member, the presentation that you want to put together for a grant, it really ought to concentrate on the, again, people first terminology. The chapter outlines what we mean by that, and again, using terminology of a person who uses a wheelchair, a person who has speech difficulties, that kind of thing, compared to some of the old language that we've seen and have people heard people use in terms of victim and cripple and that kind of thing. So again, it really outlines what the person first language is all about. We think is important not only for staff. It is expected language. It's really the standard today that should be used, but also very important in terms of grant proposals, especially if you're going after funds that are specifically earmarked for people with disabilities. The language in your presentation has to be the expected standard in order to be a viable presentation. So that chapter really outlines information for you there. Chapter 9, the final chapter, talks overview of advocacy and ADA resources. Again, this really is our forte. We have a Washington, D.C. office. We have some outstanding staff in Washington that are available to assist with advocacy and ADA issues. And you may think that your individual situation or a situation of a parent in your program whose son or daughter is not getting adequate physical education in their elementary school or in their high school is not a big thing, but for our staff that is, and we have intervened in those situations countless number of times to provide technical assistance and to provide the resources to enable parents to get the best programming for their sons or daughters in the community school. So there's a lot of resources out there, and we are there to provide those for you. As a reminder, the ADA just published in March 15th of 2011 new regulations related to the ADA, related to accessibility requirements. We made this part of our last webinar. We have also developed a in-service to that. We've given in-service here in Georgia to the Georgia Parks and Recreation Association related to the new guidelines. They apply to fitness equipment, swimming pools, play areas, boating facilities, golf facilities, saunas and steam rooms, and then issues related to service animals, wheelchairs, reaching range, and automated telephone systems. If you have any of that in your system, you need to be aware of what the new regulations are and the mandate to be meet those standards by March 15th, 2012. We are here to provide those resources to help you through that if you need that assistance. Also, under our advocacy program, we have a variety of things that we help with. You see that the introduction to creating accessible sports, fitness, and physical activity environments, that's our last webinar already posted. This webinar will be posted again as well, so that information is there. We also work with people related to physical education policies and school wellness policies. If you're looking to draft those documents, our Washington staff is more than eager to assist you with that process. In terms of our appendix, the toolkit in our process has really evolved from what Mike got when he came to our conference last year and actually walked out with a box that had all the discs and everything in it, to everything being put on our website, so everybody can have access to it 24/7. They don't have to contact us to get the information. One of the appendixes that, and again, that Mike got was all on disc, was Appendix 1, sports manuals, and we'll go over those really quickly. We have written 3 or 4 specific ones: track and field, wheelchair rugby, strength and conditioning, and injuries, and medical issues. And we think that these are information that the current graduate of a therapeutic rec program or even adaptive phys ed program are not going to get this kind of information out of their textbooks. It's stuff specific to real technique in terms of working with athletes with disabilities in the field. In this case, this page has the parts of a racing wheelchair, the difference in terms of camber and why the wheels are cambered like that. The manuals also give information related to strapping and the use of compensators. The information is going to help you run a safe and viable program for athletes with disabilities. The information, again, that usually is not provided for in an adaptive phys ed or a therapeutic recreation curriculum in college. In terms of our quad rugby one, and outside of a lot of issues related to coaching and things like that, coaching philosophy, the manual provides simple plays. Again, if you have new staff coming out of college who never coached wheelchair rugby, it's a different sport. It's different than basketball. There are some number of plays that are outlined to give them the basis of running an offense and a defense so they can get the program going. We also have a number of 2 specific lists that we put together outside of our manuals. This list is a partial list of wheelchair basketball resources. We went through and did a lit search and found all the different things and put it in one list. So if you're starting a wheelchair basketball program, your coaches, you can go to this list and find all the printed material related to wheelchair basketball and pick what manual is going to be best for them. Wheelchair tennis being probably the 2nd or 3rd largest program, we also did it for tennis as well, and there is a whole number of resources available. These are only 4 of them. There's probably 15 or so related to wheelchair tennis, and that list is available on our website. No need to search or anything. It's right there at your fingertips. Appendix 2 of our toolkit, which is now again online, is distance learning presentations. We've done a variety of things, an intro webinar to bocce, intro in terms of Blaze Sports Clubs, medical considerations, Paralympic preview, and sports and recreation for individuals with spinal cord injuries. These are PowerPoint presentations that are available online. You can download them, or you can call them up right on your computer and use them. That's a great opportunity for staff and volunteer orientation. If you're going after a funder or you're trying to recruit a board member and you want to give them the essence of what Paralympic sport is, the preview of Summer Paralympics is a perfect PowerPoint for that. It's really up-to-date, high-quality photos, real action photos that might be difficult for a brand-new program to get their hands on. We've provided that, again, in a format that you can use for a number of different purposes. Appendix 3, coaching videos, has been expanded a little bit since Mike got his toolkit, but there's a variety of resources there. Play Sports had the opportunity to make some really good coaching videos with some really expertise folks. Kevin Orr was the former head coach of the U.S. Paralympic team. He is now the current head coach of the Canadian wheelchair rugby team. And that video includes a variety of things, including action shots and actual footage of elite quad rugby players in a match. A track and field video is done by Chris Cohen, who was the past chair of athletics for the International Paralympic Committee, but he has now moved on to be the coordinator of athletics for the London Paralympic Games in 2012. So some of the best experts in the world are related to disability sport. Julie O'Neill, who works for U.S. Paralympics, helped us with our swim video, and there's a variety of things that are there, including the video of underwater photography and stroke technique. We think that the combination of these videos and the manuals that we have is a super orientation for brand new staff or staff that are looking to get a little bit renewal in terms of the sports that they're working on. Because this information, so much the size of this, if you can know technology, we have had to go into what we call Blaze Sports TV. You can see it circled on the top of the page there. That is the tab to get right to this information. The videos are laid out there. You can see the number of views. Our track and field one has been up for 2 years, and it has 1,400 views already. Our most popular video, given the fact that athletics is probably the biggest sport. It is the biggest sport for Paralympics, and also most people do track and field in their local programs. But a lot of views and a lot of different videos available right there for your staff to have access to. We've also included our webinars. We've done a series of webinars over the last 3 years, including some of the top experts in certain sports, including sit volleyball, wheelchair tennis, swimming, that kind of stuff. Those are all posted as well for people to have access to, not only the PDF version of it, but the recorded version as well. And with our new program that we're working with in terms of the Department of Health and Human Services, we've done a variety of new videos. You can see the posting of these have been very recent over the last 2 months or so, but some basic video clips in terms of different things related to physical activity, the myths of physical activity with people with disabilities, that kind of thing. This section is the newest section, and will certainly be growing with time, with a lot more videos to come. So please revisit our website every once in a while to see the new stuff that we have available for you. We've also taken the time in Appendix 5 to get all the rule books together. I know sometimes it's hard to find the current rule books in certain sports. We have collected 26 different rule books. They're all on there, able to be downloaded on the sport that you are interested in looking into. And finally, the final part of our toolkit is activity cards. We borrowed the concept of our activity cards from our friends in Australia that had a very similar format they were using, and we based this on the tree concept, if you will, teaching, coaching style, rules and regulations, equipment and environments. So the cards are cardstock, has front and back, and it breaks down the activity into, again, 4 different categories: teaching style, rules, equipment, and environments. And we've developed some specific to bocce. We have 6 related to bocce. We are the governing body for bocce, so that's why we do a lot. If you wonder why we do so much with bocce, we are the national governing body for bocce, and it is a sport that we promote and host national championships and oversee the U.S. national teams that compete internationally. So bocce is a very important project for us. Again, we have 6 different cards related to bocce, and again, it has a front and a back. On the back side, it goes with the tree teaching environment type thing of teaching rules, equipment, and environment. It also talks about safety and certain things and how it can make it applicable to other games. So we think they're a really good resource, especially for the brand new person, the person you're trying to start a bocce program, that coach that never has done bocce, doesn't know what bocce is all about. You can actually give them 6 activity cards, kind of a lesson plan to walk in and start a program and be prepared to work with athletes. We've done 8 different ones on tennis, the same concept, front and back, and working on different things. And basketball, we've done 10 different activities for basketball, basketball being one of the bigger disability sports in the United States. And just for kicks and giggles, we threw in SID volleyball. We use SID volleyball here at Blaze as a really good disability awareness program. We go into elementary schools and use SID volleyball as activity, inclusion activity. Kids with disabilities and without disabilities can sit and do it together. So we included SID volleyball as well. Dan.
And just another reminder, on September 15th through 18th in Decatur, Georgia, we will be hosting the 11th Annual International Conference on Paralympic Sport and Physical Activity. We will be having the certification course for the Certified Disability Sports Specialist, so you can come to the conference and leave, assuming you pass the course with the CDSS certification. And there you can see on the back, we'll hold our hands-on sessions at Agnes Scott College, which is just a stone's throw away. And if you haven't been to downtown Decatur, I think you'll love it. The office is 2 blocks away from the hotel and conference center. It's a wonderful downtown. You can see there some of the sessions we're going to be having. There's information online right now. The call for proposals is online, so if you're interested in presenting at the conference, the sessions that we're looking for are there with instructions on how to submit your proposal. And within a few weeks, we'll have registration information online as well.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, we wanted to remind you that we are available for technical assistance on whatever matter. If we don't have an answer for your question, we will find the answer and get back to you. I had an interesting one just yesterday in terms of the program implementation, accessible vans for a World Cup shooting event that's going to happen in Columbus, Georgia, and in a situation where it's a week-long opportunity for an international team to come in, be picked up at the airport, taken to the venue, driven around all week, and then brought back to the venue. That is a very unique situation, and we're going to do our best to find out the solution for that program. But we will tackle any question or any inquiry that you have. And the 2 main people for that at our Atlanta office, or Decatur office, is myself, Jeff Jones, and Dan Humphreys. Our information is listed there. In terms of policy assistance, we have, I said before, outstanding staff in our Washington, D.C. office. and Cody runs our Washington office and is a 3-time Paralympian, and is currently on the IPC board of directors, and travels the world promoting disability sport. And she runs an outstanding advocacy effort for us and lobbying effort in terms of different programs and activities out of our Washington office. She's assisted people, again, down to the parent who's having problems with their individual child in a school setting, up to helping the state of Maryland define their new physical activity policy for kids with disabilities in the school system. So no project or no situation is too small for us or too big for us to handle. In summary, we hope we'll be able to to provide you with an overview of the resources available, what you're going to find in the Active for Life Toolkit that's going to be mailed to you within the next couple of days. As I mentioned, it'll be in the mailing, but we are going to make an opportunity for you to order some. I know that, a number of you represent a community that may have a number of recreation staff, our school system that may have 10 to 12 phys ed teachers or adaptive phys ed teachers. We're going to make an opportunity for you to, if you like the manual, to order as many copies as you need for your community. And that order form will be in the toolkit manual when we mail it to you. We hope that we've, again, introduced you to where the manuals and videos are on our website where you can access that. The activity cards are going to you as well in the mail. You will have an opportunity to order more than those as well. So if you have, again, in a physical education situation, if you want to provide each phys ed teacher with a copy, there's our opportunity to provide that to you, and we're glad to do so. So as a reminder, the survey will be sent to you at the end of the webinar, and we ask that you fill that out. And if you do so, we'll send you the webinar, a PDF version of the webinar, and also the materials that we just discussed. We do have some time for questions. We're right about on the hour mark. I know that a lot of people base their schedules on things, but we do have time for questions. And I do have, if you have the opportunity now, you can type in the questions with your on the panel that you have there. The first question we have is, does Blaze Sports still offer the opportunity to become a Blaze Sports Club? That's a very interesting question that we don't have a direct answer for at this time, but we will have. Needless to say, we are reinventing our club program, so not to compete with the U.S. Paralympic Club program, and an announcement will be made, and programs will be contacted related to that. So that is in the works, and we are in a position to do that.
And just to add to that, Jeff, when we do roll that out, what you're going to see is a lot more concrete benefits of being a member, being a club of Blaze Sports or an affiliation. So definitely be on the lookout for that information online, and if you have specific questions, you can call us or email us on that as well.
Okay, another question here is, will scholarships be available? I assume the scholarships is reference to the conference. Dan, you want to handle that one?
If we hadn't planned on offering a scholarship program, but if you're someone who really needs the conference, can really benefit from it, and you can demonstrate a financial hardship, I'll be happy to look at that on a case-by-case basis. So you can call me or email me directly with that. I think when we do announce the fees, though, everyone's going to be pleasantly surprised. They're not going to be what you'd expect for a conference of this caliber. It's not free, but it is going to be very affordable. The conference center is right off of MARTA, so you can fly into the Atlanta airport and take the train right to the conference center, so you can attend this conference without ever having to rent a car or worry about transportation. So it's going to be an affordable conference, and I'd be happy to work with anybody on a case-by-case basis for scholarships.
Okay. Are there other opportunities besides the international conference in September to complete the CDSS course or exam?
That's going to be the first opportunity widely available. What our long-term goal is to actually offer the courses as distance learning opportunities, either through the webinars or through videos where we would have the exams attached to them. So by passing the exam, we would know that you actually did complete that course and to a sufficient degree. So as of right now, the conference is the only place to come do it. We do want to eventually put it online and get as many people educated and certified and providing better programming to best standards as possible. And we also have the opportunity to possibly do some traveling. So if you're an organization that has 5, 10 people that are very interested in being certified, get a hold of me, and we can possibly figure out a way for me to come over 2 days and deliver the curriculum and get everyone certified in that manner.
Okay. I guess a question for Mike is, what is it? Yeah, Mike, did you have use for the sports videos, or were the manuals more functional for your program?
Oh man, that's a tough question. You know, I would argue that I used all the different parts equally. There are also really different parts to it too. The book, or the Guide to Disability Sport Recreation, it's really a very well done overview of all the information that someone would need to know to really effectively start a program. In terms of the videos and the CDs, that's more when you get to the specific content of the programs. It's also got some forms and manuals in there as well, in terms of how to run a program, like a wheelchair basketball, for instance, or he talked about it for sit volleyball. But both of those things definitely complement each other. I wouldn't say I use one more than the other.
Okay, thank you. Dan, will you determine at the conference what level of certification you should go for?
What we'll do is set up, as part of the registration process, there'll be a question whether or not you're interested in receiving the disability sports certification. And if you are, what we're going to ask you at that time is start to collect all of your information, your resume, your transcripts, a summary of your CEUs before the conference, and send those in so that we can evaluate those, and then we can let you know where you're sitting, or if you have any deficiencies, what we would need you to make up in terms of the curriculum and what level you should really be searching at. Basically, level 1 is really kind of for those volunteers, not really newbies, because to be certified at level 1, you do have to have a minimum of 1 season of experience providing direct programming. But that's more for the volunteer, the ongoing volunteer. Level 2 is really more for the coach who's either coaching all year round or has 1 or 2 sports that they're involved in, but they know that, hey, this is what they're doing and they're going to be involved for a long time. Again, generally speaking, level 3 is for that person that's engaged in full-time work in the disability sport field. That's what they do day in, day out. Maybe not necessarily provide the direct service programming day in, day out, but they're employed in the field. And level 4 is definitely for that professional who is seasoned, who has been working on a national scale for a few years and has been dipping their toe into that international scale, and is really ready to take that next step and affect change on a global scale. So that in a nutshell kind of gives you an idea of where people fall, but of course we do need to look at it case by case, and we'd like to do that prior to the conference so that going into it you know what you need to do.
Okay, so after that, can you later move on to the next level?
Absolutely. Once you complete a level, you can move on to the next level. Now, there are, as you can reference the website, there's different criteria for each level, and some of it is experience-based. So, for instance, someone who's been operating in the world of disability sport for 2 years is not going to be at a level 4. They're not going to have the necessary background and experience to go into level 4 right away. But someone, say, who's been engaged in disability sport for 4 or 5 years, they've been employed full time. They've done the direct programming. They've done the program management. They've done the administration. They've done event management. That person, through their education, through their work experience, may be able to come right in at level 3. Maybe they're missing certain things here and there, and they need to kind of come in at level 1 real quick, but they can really progress very quickly through level 1, 2, and all the way to 3. So you can progress through them, and you can skip them too based on what your experience is.
Okay. We got a question here. Can we get 25 copies of the Activity for Life manual? As I said, we're going to have an order form as part of the packet that we send you. We are going to ask you to explain why you want so many copies, if it be 10, 15, 25, whatever. So if you provide us with a good reason, there's 25 teachers in the system, or we have 25 rec centers that we want to have, whatever, we have this many libraries in our community. Yes, we're gonna meet those requests, but we just asked you to clarify that for us. All right, I think that is it for today. On the survey, folks, you have the opportunity to list questions as well. We will answer all questions as you're doing your survey. Again, on behalf of Play Sports America, we want to thank you for spending your afternoon with us. I especially want to thank Mike Boone for joining us from Iowa and providing some great examples of how the toolkit was a functional program for him. And I would, again, thank my colleague Dan Humphreys for joining us as well. Everyone have a great afternoon, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.